Good evening, everybody. My name is Joe, and I am a weapon of mass instruction. Hooray for sheep! I got to deal with my ex again. Which is fine, because I also got to spend time with my beautiful daughter. Right now, I'm on my way back home, so I apologize. This is pretty much audio only. Couple quick things. I've been hearing a lot about the Causeway Cannibal. Which I love it. I love that little name they decided to give to him. So cute. But who knows? Who knows what the hell the deal is there? Cannibal, addict. Apparently PCP or angel dust, allows you to do some crazy shit like, stab yourself multiple times and throw your intestines and skin at police officers, stuff like that. That's actually another case that I read about that actually occurred in, I believe, Hackensack, New Jersey. But so yes, this recent episode, issue, fucking event. Everybody's heard about it already. Guy was shot 6 fucking times before he went down. Now, I'm not sure whether they use 9mm or 40 calibers in Florida, but gun laws in Florida are similar to gun laws in PA. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be 40 caliber, which is very, very common nowadays in police forces across the United States. So that's a reasonable guess, and 40 cal ammo definitely has more stopping power than 9mm does. So 6 shots. Either way, I mean, that's it's 4 too many. You should only take 2, if that. If he was high on PCP at the time, who knows? I've heard some crazy shit about people on PCP, but personally, I really fucking hope it was the beginning of a zombie outbreak. I really can't wait to hear about more of these, but apparently that wasn't the first time it happened in Miami. Apparently a month ago, 11 miles from the on-ramp where this last incident occurred, a very similar situation occurred. I didn't get details on that because actually the link that I found to that news article was no longer working. That news article had been taken down. And it had to have been recently because I got it off of shit. I can't remember, but somebody's recent video, like within the last 2 days. Oh, the Knowledge Vault, that's right. So that link is busted, which tells me that that news article has been removed. What else is going on? People are talking about how they found Nibiru next to the sun. And that kind of talk has been going on for a while, but apparently somebody took a picture of it while they were in a commercial jet. And a lot of people are saying that it's simply lens flare. So it's another one of those situations where we can take it for what it is. It's a picture of what looks like objects near the sun. It might be reflections of the sun. And I'm personally leaning that way too, simply because if Nibiru is by the sun, then it should be on our side of it, heading back this way. Especially after the evidence that we saw of something in front of the sun other than the moon during the May 20th eclipse. If you look at... Oh, goddamn. Well, just look up videos and find a video of the eclipse as viewed from places like Oregon in the United States compared to the eclipse as viewed from Japan. And you'll see a huge difference in the size of the quote-unquote moon as it passes across the sun. It shouldn't have a different size if viewed from different parts of the United States as opposed to Japan or Alaska or wherever. Excuse me. if anything, it should be the same size, but simply following a slightly different path, which, due to the different distances involved, really should not be that much of a difference altogether. Anyway, so that is that. There was, in my opinion, something other than the moon eclipsing the sun on that day. So that's that. Image of an unknown object near the sun. Multiple unknown objects, I should say, because it looked like two other than the sun. But what makes me think that that particular image is simply lens flare instead of an actual object. And again, if this was an actual video, then, you know, if they were smart about it, they could have covered up part of the image with their hand and, you know, checked it out that way or whatever. But like I said, if anything is on our side of the sun, then we would not be able to see the object being bright as if it was a full moon. Alright? We would only see the dark side of it. Does that make sense to everybody? It would basically look like a black circle if we were able to see it from this distance anyway, which I doubt, since the absence of light is, you know, a lack of sight. I'm a poet. But, you know, the main purpose of this is it's very easy to get frustrated with the sheep. Two situations today. The first one that occurred was I was told to be the foreman for the range. I was supposed to watch the line and manage the people and basically be a manager for the day because the actual manager had to do inventory. So before I actually got set to do that job, I got a little quick sit-down chat because apparently my boss and his girlfriend are thinking that I'm starting to go a little nuts because they've seen me look up into the sky and talk about airplanes and harp freaking rings and chemtrails and holograms and stuff like that, and they just don't know what to make of it. So I got a quick sit-down chat about, you know, how not to act crazy in front of the customers while I'm, you know, in charge of everybody. And it was tough. I got to be honest. It was real hard to go through. I think it was like 6 hours by that point. 6 hours of watching people and going back and forth on the line and not looking up into the sky at all. Like, you want to see how hard it is? Just tell yourself that you're going to spend one day, whenever you're outdoors, not looking up in the sky for objects or chemtrails or whatever. Try it. See if you can do it. Just spend one day not looking in the sky. I bet you it cannot be done because I found myself several times doing it. But anyway, so that was the first little incident. Second thing, so I'm at my ex's house. I had just put my daughter to bed and I'm smoking a cigarette and she's chilling. Ooh, nice. Down tree limb. Excellent. Anyway, so I'm sitting there and I'm reading some news off of beforeitsnews.com and Message to the Eagle and stuff like that. And I tried to mention a couple things to her, and not in a, you know, hey, it's the end of the world as we know it kind of way. More like, hey, what do you think of this kind of way. So I brought up Fukushima first. And the way I led into it was I told her about the family of seals that was found washed up in the beach in the Pacific Northwest. And her immediate and I told her that the official line was they died of starvation. And her immediate response was, okay, and? So I told her, well, seals hunt for food solo. They don't do it as a group generally. You know? So if there was starvation, there's no reason why they would all starve at exactly the same time and wash up on the beach at exactly the same time. So she said, well, they migrate. And I said, okay, and that doesn't change their hunting patterns. She said, well, if there's no fish in the area, then they wouldn't be able to find food. All right. First off, I guarantee there's still fish in the area because there's still fishermen doing their trade. We're not hearing about a whole buttload of fishermen out of a job. You know? She hasn't heard anything about Fukushima. She heard about it a little bit, never paid it any attention. I let her know that, you know, Tower 4 of Fukushima is still spewing radioactive material up into the atmosphere. And she was like, well, I wouldn't exactly say spewing, but that's what it's happening. It's spewing. It's spewing its load. It blew its load all over our sky. It's what it did. Big fucking toxic money shot. So I said, okay, well, it didn't start off spewing, but, you know, that was a year ago. You know, if I'm not mistaken, they've been getting leaks of radioactive material starting from a year ago. Like, you know, there has been issues from that reactor that long ago, and it really started spewing since, you know, that massive earthquake followed by a tsunami, which I still have trouble believing that now that I, you know, woke up and actually started thinking about it, because I remember hearing about it on the radio and like in the news before then and being like, oh wow, that sucks, and that was it. But now, like, thinking about it, Japan is racked by earthquakes and tsunamis all the time. You know, out of all their buildings, why would they not, you know, why would they not shield a nuclear reactor against earthquakes and tsunamis as best as humanly possible? With all the technology available at their disposal, you know? If I'm not mistaken, until recently they were one of the few countries in the world that wasn't hit that hard by the recession. No. Imminent collapse of the global financial market. Anyway. So I started citing all these examples of, you know, radiation finding its way to the United States. The kids in Hollywood who were, you know, sent home from school and quarantined because of this mystery ailment. The fucking Alaska Airways attendants with their toxic materials in their uniforms. Okay. And the 100,000 fish that turned up dead in the Chesapeake Bay area. Her response to all those was like, well, maybe it was, you know, that, you know, kids get sick every day, and, you know, toxic chemicals are put into our stuff every day. And, well, I you know, I'm not surprised about the fish. The Chesapeake Bay area is a very polluted area. Like, really? Those fish wouldn't have turned up dead all at once if it wasn't for something external happening. Jesus. I started getting frustrated. So I told her about legalized propaganda. She was like, since when did the news media tell anything other than lies? I said, well, previously they had to have some sort of a basis in truth. Now they have, you know, carte blanche to tell us whatever the fuck they feel like, and it's okay. What else did I tell her? Oh, how Department of Homeland Security is nationalizing and federalizing the police. She said, okay, cool, that's good. I said, you're not concerned about that? She's like, why should I be? I said, well, I don't know, maybe because they're supposed to be funded at the state level, because of the idea that our nation is founded of 50 sovereign states that are capable and, you know, willing to govern their own people, and yet their state, you know, there's the state stuff is being taken to the federal government. Like, why? So I told her about Hitler did the exact same thing. He nationalized the police in Germany right before he started the Third Reich, or turned it into a Nazi state. And she said, oh yeah, the brown shirts, right? And I was like, well, I'm pretty sure those were his political supporters, and then he nationalized the police. And she was like, oh, okay, all right. said, doesn't it concern you that we're doing the exact same thing here today? No, not concerned. They got our best interests in mind. Told her about Schwarzwasser, the mercenary organization that was hired by Hitler to do his dirty deeds that he didn't want to do. And she goes, oh, my language is English. Honestly, can anybody out there, when I say Schwarzwasser, can you not figure out what that translates to? Black water. Jesus. English is a bastardized Germanic language, people. It's not that hard to figure out. Anyway, I'm just kind of venting right now because, you know, it's just yet another example of in-your-face sheep just don't want to fucking wake up. The last thing she said before I said goodnight was, you know, one of these days you're going to tell the wrong person about this stuff, and you're going to give yourself an aneurysm, or you're going to get sent to a psychiatric facility to be evaluated. I told her, no, that's not going to happen. And she said, well, why isn't it going to happen? I said, well, A, they're either going to NDAA my ass and, you know, try to put me in a dark hole somewhere before they do that, or B, it's just not going to happen. Let's leave it there. Not going to let them pump me full of psychotropic drugs so I can be just like everybody else. Because honestly, I don't want to be just like everybody else. I never was just like everybody else. I knew from day one that something was off. And not that I'm crazy. As a kid, something was off because I liked to read when everybody else wanted to just play. You know, I had no idea what the kids were watching on TV because I was raised on Sesame Street and not, you know, fucking Beavis and Butthead. Hell, I still enjoyed the occasional Sesame Street even at 8 years old. Even though I knew all this shit, yeah, it was fun to watch. And at 8 years old, I still had an active imagination. I wonder how many kids nowadays have an active imagination at 8. I am happy about one thing. I recall my ex's son. I saw him reading the Hunger Games and Catching Fire and Mockingjay a while ago. And at the time, I was like, oh, hey, it's a nice new teen book. Cool. But I totally recommend it. Adult readers, teen readers, whoever. A very intricate and detailed idea or image of what our future could hold for us. Because the history of Panem really does smack of some of the things we're looking at possibly occurring in the near future. Alright. I'm going to cut it short right here. For multiple reasons. XSVNRG, I do realize now that you're having fun, which is cool. I have no problem with that. At the time, I was like, I felt a little hurt, honestly, because I was like, oh no, I disappointed one of my viewers. What am I supposed to do? I mean, I'm trying to make this entertaining as well as informative and like put forth different ideas and perspectives and what am I doing wrong? And I'm like reading so far into it, like, oh geez, what am I doing? How can I fix it? How can I make it better? But I do appreciate that even though I ramble sometimes that you still enjoy listening. I really do appreciate that. So thank you. Thank you to all the new subscribers as well. Keeping the dream alive, you know, letting me know that my message is catching on. And quick recap, if you haven't taken a look at the earlier episodes or you just signed on recently, a couple things of note. One of the reasons why I'm putting videos out there almost every day now is to simply, if nothing else, let you all know that I have not been, you know, deemed a threat to national security or some bullshit like that. Because, you know, pretty much as it stands, the stuff that I talk about is I'm not going to say dumbed down, but it's mild compared to some of the stuff I hear and see on YouTube. But if you all of a sudden one night, you know, go on YouTube and realize that you haven't seen anything from me in like a week and a half, 2 weeks, that's basically a loud and clear sign that, you know, shit's hitting the fan, because I'm going to continue to put stuff out there until I'm no longer able to, and I will let you all know if somehow, for whatever reason, I'm not able to upload for a regular reason. Like, for example, my cell phone provider, along with everybody else, is getting rid of infinite or unlimited data, even when grandfathered in. I don't know when that's going to happen, but when it does happen, I will no longer upload videos on YouTube through my cell phone. So it might take me a little while to switch to an actual cable plan, which I'm not going to be able to do feasibly. I don't know, possibly. So that's that. That's one thing, one sticking point I want you all to keep in mind. And my overall message to anybody who's new here is, you know, keep on trying to wake people up. As frustrating as it gets, we can see where our country and our world is heading, and it doesn't look pretty. It's not a utopia by any means. You know, it could be anything from Fallout to Rage to fucking Book of Eli to Deus Ex or Minority Report, which that is becoming a reality. The Department of Pre-Crime. Look up the FAST system by Department of Homeland Security if in doubt. Oh, this is a 45-mile-an-hour zone. No wonder this guy's riding my ass. Gonna pull my hair while you're at it? Oh, and XSVNRG 1488, one more quick message to you. I am going to get a haircut tomorrow, I promise. And I'll get a fresh shave, and then I'll wear a buff t-shirt. Or maybe I'll just not wear a t-shirt at all. I'll surprise y'all. So, that's pretty much what I got. You know, don't lose hope. Just like the story of Pandora opening the box and unleashing all the evil in the world, the last thing that escaped was hope. And it's always going to be there. Because just like Anonymous says, you can't censor an idea. You can't kill an idea. You can't murder it. You can't, you know, throw it in a dark hole. You cannot get rid of an idea. And the idea here is freedom and liberty and the ideals that our founding fathers built for our nation. And while I guarantee it was probably a dream of theirs to see it across the world, at least the America that they created, not the America that exists today, the burgeoning police state with unprecedented amount of people dissatisfied with their government, unprecedented acts of Congress and executive orders. Like every day one of these comes out and I say, did he really just do that? The fuck of it is, we're quickly starting to realize how all of our protests and all of our petitions and all of that are falling on deaf ears. Oh, at this point I'm starting the rant mode, so the informative part of it is pretty much over. If you want to cut it out now, no hard feelings, that's fine. But you know, he puts out new executive orders on a weekly basis, and another one of our rights and liberties is taken away, and it's horrifying in a way. All this is happening, and our protests and all of that are falling on deaf ears, and they're not even coming out and telling us why they're doing this. If he could give me a legitimate reason, and I'm not just talking about, well, the war on terror needs something like this. No. The war on terror, the veneer, the veil over our eyes does not need our rights to be removed to protect us from the invisible terrorist threat. There's no need. Like, I will never take my daughter to another country as long as the TSA has a chokehold on our fucking airports the way it does. Like, seriously, their going thing is, you know, we're still looking for radical Islamic terrorists, and so I am basically the picture of the American poster boy. You know? And so is my daughter. She's the picture of the American poster girl. She's freaking gorgeous. She's got blonde hair, blue eyes. She looks absolutely nothing like the stereotypical Islamic terrorist. No offense to anybody who's a Muslim out there. I'm talking about the 5% extremists who take a religion and turn it into a means to their own nefarious end. Because there's absolutely no reason why all of our world faiths and belief systems can't coexist peacefully. No reason. You know, and Christians and Catholics are guilty of it as well. That same 5% around that, if not more, because I know I hear about Catholics getting all sorts of militant out there. Holy shit, I can't even talk now. This train is coming off the tracks. I'm sorry. I lost it. I think I'll just leave it there. I put out my message for tonight. As frustrating as it gets. If you can wake somebody up every day, or even once a week, or hell, even once a month, as short as our time is now, as little time as we have to prepare for the worst case possible scenario that is likely to occur, the more people that are aware that something is wrong, the more people that will be ready for it. I'm going to leave you with that. Keep on screaming that truth at the top of your lungs, because people need to hear it. Stay safe, everybody. Peace.